evening, Lisa.
Good evening, Andrew.
I don't even know what that was.
I don't know
Right.
what that was.
One thing to say, in addition to the Twin Dilemma,
Yes.
we've got the CD of the Jack and Ori version of The Hobbit, haven't we?
We have, yes.
Which has got Maurice Denham and Bernard Cribbins in.
Yes.
Bernard Cribbins plays Bilbo, but Maurice Denham plays Gandalf.
Gandalf.
Yeah, and he gets to do what we call sort of faraway shouting acting
Yes.
at one point.
Yeah, because the bit where Gandalf
Goes off. Yeah.
Which is always the really disappointing book in the book.
Yeah.
Oh, but no!
But it's on CD, so I've not
Yeah.
actually seen the video of it. But I imagine he'd go, because he has to say, what was it? Don't stray from the path.
Yes.
But the idea is that he's already a long way
Yeah,
away.
it's getting further and further
So
away.
Maurice Denham has to do something that I think looks a bit like this. Don't stray from the path. And even on audio it's funny, isn't
It
it?
is funny, we laughed every time. You're doing shouting acting.
Yeah. Far away.
Far away.
But yes, right. The Mark of the Rani. I didn't do my Anthony Ainley
Yes, very well
impression then.
avoided.
Yeah, just about managed to avoid it. But Colin Baker in history
Yes.
with George Stevenson.
Yes.
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 And
George
lots of other
Lots of other
geniuses.
people mentioned, but you never get to see them.
never get to see
because
them, which is a
obviously,
You'd have to cast them.
you'd have to
and-
cast them.
We did check the dates, and they were all sort of alive roughly around the same
Yes,
time. Although
yes.
some of them would have been old, and some of them would have been young. But
Yes, and we should clarify that the Brunel mentioned isn't Isambard Kingdom.
it's Mark Brunel, his
Yes.
dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Isambard was only born in 1800.
Yes. Right.
So it would have been about 10.
Yeah. So he wouldn't have been much help.
No. And he was always getting coins stuck in his throat anyway, wasn't he?
Oh yeah. Oh dear. That's horrible history. We won't
Yes.
go into that. Right. So Colin in history
Yeah.
with the Master and the Rani.
Yes.
But the Master's a bit
The
superfluous,
Master
really,
is
isn't
extremely superfluous. He's just really there to get on the Rani's nerves
he?
with
Yeah.
their brain fluid
Yeah.
that he steals. So,
But lots of film work.
yeah.
Looks very pretty,
It
doesn't
does
it?
look very pretty.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Kate O'Mara is a great choice, I think.
She is.
Yeah.
She is, because she's... I think this is just before she goes into Dynasty, because obviously Time
yeah.
in the Rani is just after. After.
When she's written a letter saying, please can I come back and sit
Yes.
in the quarry. Yeah.
And be wed. Yes. She's really good. She's really ruthless. I'd forgotten how ruthless she is. She just kills people left, right, and centre, doesn't she? Much like the Master, but with much less
She's not messing about.
trotting
no.
about.
Yeah. And she gets her own TARDIS as
She
well.
does,
It's on the
yes.
cover there.
It's beautiful.
With its big gyroscopy
Yes.
thing and all the...
Yes.
What appear to be Dalek bumps around the...
Yeah.
Around the around the edges.
Around the edges, yes.
And
yes.
she's got dinosaurs.
Yes. Now, thinking about it, Rani, was this the brightest thing to do? To have a dinosaur, an embryo of a Tyrannosaurus Rex?
Yeah.
There's one there.
Yeah.
Was that the brightest thing to do?
Yeah.
Because when the speed they accelerate at the end,
Yeah.
it wobbles off and falls
It
off.
wobbles off.
Wobbles off. No, it really does. It's like wobbly, 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 smash. And obviously time is becoming accelerated, so it starts to grow. It looks really sweet at the start, because it's like it's all sleepy and small. What did I say? What did I say about...
What?
About Martha eats flies.
Oh, you're imagining if the dinosaur ate the Master.
Yeah, it tastes like flies. It tastes like flies.
Well, when Martha Cat eats flies, she catches them and then sort of eats them and goes... as though she can't believe how horrible they
Yes.
taste.
But every time she does it, she eats it in the hope it's going to taste nicer this time.
It's like Bertie Bott's every flavour beans,
Yeah.
isn't it? But they always taste of
Of flies.
flies.
Yeah. So we're imagining that if the Tyrannosaurus Rex ate the Master,
It would stick its tongue
it'd
out.
stick its tongue out because you taste the flies.
Okay, right. But anyway, let's get back. Stevenson.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the Doctor and Stevenson don't get to meet until
No,
part two, and I would have brought that forward.
Yes.
I mean, I know you've got the cliffhanger, and you know you need somebody to save.
Yes, save the Doctor.
But I know Pip and Jane said that they they got quite obsessed with Stevenson and would have had him in the story more, but then it became a story about Stevenson rather than a Doctor Who story with Stevenson in it.
Yes.
But in terms of sort of fulfilling that thing of Doctor Who teaching about history, you can sort of see that they're vaguely attempting that.
And we've seen the rocket, haven't we?
Yes.
We saw the rocket in the York Railway Museum.
That's right, yes.
And the bullet train.
Yeah, I mean, we briefly got to meet Kate O'Mara once, I think, didn't we? And
she was lovely.
Yeah, I mean, as I think Sylvester and Colin both say, she has this sort of thing about... She had this image of being very glam.
Yeah, she would just get on with it.
But she was very sort of proper, down to earth.
Yeah.
You know.
She wasn't show busy at all. She was a working actress.
No, and she would sort of run her own theatre company and stuff.
That's why she did Dynasty, because it gave her money to keep her theatre company going.
To do what she really wanted to do. Yeah. So I mean, it's a great. Again, it's one of those people I wish we could have sort of spent a bit more time with, because we're
going to have to tell the Kate O'Mara story, aren't we?
Well, go on then. You do it.
So we went to this signing at 10th Planet in Barking.
Yeah.
And it's situated in a shopping centre. What used to be, I don't know if it's moved. And so the queue wasn't hugely long, but it was relatively long, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it was for a CD, and we had the CD, and we were queuing, and this man came up to us and said, "What are you queuing for?"
Mm-hmm. To which we answered,
Kate
O'Mara. To which he said,
"What's that then? A computer game?"
And then you tried to explain who she was.
We tried to explain, she's in Dynasty and Triangle.
He'd never heard of that.
No. So anyway, he goes off, and in the meantime, I go back in the shop and decide I'll get a photo as well. So I get a photo, I come back, the bloke comes back dragging his wife.
Yeah, I know, the fact that he came back.
Yes, and says to his wife, tell my wife what you said. So we explain it again. The wife's never heard of her either.
Oh, dear.
Right. We show her the picture. No clue. They go off looking bemused. Well, all these loonies are queuing for some random woman in the shopping
I just love
centre.
the idea of the Kate O'Mara computer game. Yeah, that'd be brilliant. Yeah. I'd play that.
Yes.
But yes, nice period though. I think to set it.
Now, we did have some discussion about when exactly it's set.
Yeah, because it's after. They use the phrase the Luddite riots, but I'd need to look up when Rocket was actually done.
Yeah.
So
it's got to be the 1820s.
Yeah,
I would imagine.
I forget now. But yeah, it's a bit vague. But you were saying about Perry's cosy.
Perry's dress is very Regency.
What's Regency?
Regency is from around 1810 to 1830.
Yeah, well that would fit then.
1820. Sorry.
Yeah, that would just about fit with the geniuses.
It might be a little bit earlier than that, because obviously Regency is the period in English British history when King George III went mad, was ill for the second time, and he was deemed to be incapable of ruling.
Yeah, so you get George
So
IV.
his eldest son became Prince Regent. He can't become king because the king is still alive. But it's like having if like the king or queen is under the age of 18, you get a regent to look after the land. But in this case, George III was never going to be able to rule properly again.
What?
Yes. So Prince George, who was to become George
What's
IV.
your link with the Madness of King George, Lisa?
George. Well, the film.
You do have an acting link with it, don't you?
I have acted with somebody who, well, I think you have as well.
Oh yes, I did too. Yeah.
Who was in the Madness of King George as an extra?
Yeah. And what did she
she's
do?
in the opening scene.
What did she do?
She gets she sort of jumps and smiles like she's just had her bottom pinched or something. I think is the idea.
Yeah.
So.
But that was Louise, wasn't it?
Yes.
Oh, there you go. So you got a link with King George III.
Yeah,
well.
Nigel Hawthorne.
Anyway. Yeah. Oh, it's all right then. Right.
Yes.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Well, I like Nigel Hawthorne. Anyway.
Anyway, the Mark of the Rani. Let's get back to the subject.
You don't like the dog bit, do you?
I don't like the bit with the dog. That's unnecessary.
Yeah.
I actually, when that bit came on, I walked out of the room.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh no, poor dog.
Why is the master dressed as a scarecrow?
There's no need for it. And you know it's him because he goes.
That's just his hobby.
Yeah, he likes.
Maybe he just like sort of. Maybe he's got like. Maybe he's like the king of hobbies, evil hobbies, and he's got a book and. Like Train Spotting, his hobby is being a scarecrow in every field in England in every period, and he writes it down in his book and he drinks his wheat lemon drink, Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
And he is the king of hobbies. Yeah.
Yes.
Evil hobbies.
Possibly.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
That's playing to a small audience,
It's
isn't
played to a
it?
very small audience. Yeah.
Okay, but other...
I think that, yeah, I
Hello?
like it. It's
Yeah.
got Terence Alexander in it, who's
yeah.
quite restrained,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
Considering the big performances he sometimes gives as Charlie Hangover in Bergerac, this is quite a sort of tight performance for him. Yeah. And of course, I believe you've got a link with the new series of Doctor Who, 21st Century.
What's that?
Because I think Grange, I think is how you say it.
Gorn, isn't
Gorn, is or was married to I'm now going to forget her name. Zoe Wanamaker.
Oh, all right, okay.
So he is or was married. I don't know if they're still married.
Yeah.
To Lady Cassandra.
Oh, what was the Attack of the Cybermen link with the new series? Esther Freud, wasn't it?
Esther Freud,
Yeah.
yes, who plays one of the Cryons,
Yeah.
and she is married to David Morrissey.
There you go. Look at that. Right, anyway.
Because he was jealous because she'd been in Doctor Who and he hadn't.
Oh, I see.
So,
Right. Okay.
yeah.
Next. The Two Doctors, or the Two Doctors if you prefer.
Yes.
This is a shopping list of things, isn't it?
Yeah, this is like Robert Holmes. We need the second
Right,
Doctor.
we need Pat Troughton, we need Jamie, we need the Sontarans, we need filming abroad.
Yes. Originally in New Orleans.
That's right,
And then they couldn't get the thing together, so they end up in Seville.
In Seville.
And then they lost the wigs.
And then, the people playing the Sontarans are just melting.
Yeah.
And Jamie with his full
Quite like the
Highland.
big blanky thing on his
Yeah,
shoulder.
even Colin Baker takes his coat off.
Yeah. Nice waistcoat.
I like the waistcoat. But I was very pleased to see everybody get excited that Troughton was back.
Yes.
And although people knock Peter Moffat's direction, because it is fairly static, it was a lovely touch to have that first scene in black and white, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure that was completely his idea.
Maybe it wasn't, but even so. But again, it's lots of good components. Doesn't quite come together for me as a story. And again, it's disappointing the Two Doctors don't meet until...
ages. No, for ages.
After the 5 Doctors, I was really hoping for some Doctor banter stuff.
And you get a bit.
You get a bit.
Yeah, but not that much.
But especially showing it as the 6-part version, which is what Twitch have done. You're going, come on, get the Doctors together.
Yes, and it's just really odd cliffhangers in that 6-part version.
Well, that's just the way it was cut for being shown abroad, because you can tell it's different because the font's slightly different. But
font's horrible.
Yeah, so it's more squared off. But
it is worth it for Pat.
Yeah.
And it is worth it for Fraser as Jamie.
Yeah.
And Colin's on fine form.
Yeah.
And I love Oscar Botcherby.
Yeah.
I always get really sad when he's killed off. Apart from that, I'm with Jackie Pearce, of course.
Oh, Jack did.
And John Stratton.
Darling.
Darling. Yes.
I've got such a hangover, darling.
She's lovely, Jackie Pearce. Mad as the proverbial box of frogs. But yeah, I mean, it's got a great cast because you've got like Lawrence Payne and John Stratton and all these great actors. I mean, John Stratton's covered in Rice Krispies, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
Which kept falling off. My Rice Krispies are falling off. Makeup girl would have to go up and stick them back on again.
Because he would sweat like
He
Billy-O,
would sweat
wouldn't
like
he?
crazy and all these Rice Krispies would just fall off.
But yeah, I mean, the filming in Spain, I like all the stuff when they're sort of traipsing round.
Or when they're looking for the Doctor.
Yeah. The Hacienda stuff is all a bit nondescript, though, because it's just a load of parched... I mean, frankly, it looks like our garden.
Yes.
At the moment, it's just like parched brown grass and stuff. Because isn't it the thing about the river when they're fishing? When they'd gone to do the recce,
it was really full.
The recce, the water was really high. Then they got there and Peter Moffat had to adjust all his camera angles because the water was way down.
That's why the camera's really high and you don't really see the water that much, do you? Only a little tiny bit when they get.
I think of Colin's pretend fish acting, it's just a rubber thing and he's making it move.
Making it move. Yeah.
That's real sort of Sutton Park acting, isn't it?
It is. Yes.
But you said something. You had a theory. What was your
I
theory?
have a theory about this story in Robert Holmes.
All right, what's that then?
Well, we all know that Robert Holmes had a propensity for writing the macabre, the gothic.
Yeah.
And in all things before, he's always had somebody to pull him back and say, no, you can't go that far.
Yeah.
And in this occasion, he didn't have anybody to pull him back.
Right.
Because I think it goes, the stuff with Shockeye, when the doctor puts the cyanide over his face and kills him, although it's satisfying in some ways, because of all the stuff he's done, it's horrible.
This is what we said earlier when we were saying about the awakening is frightening but not violent. This, I think there are examples in this story where it's violent and not frightening.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just violent. It's a sort of.
Because the rat stuff I don't like.
Yeah, no, I don't like that either. Yeah. No, because you get this huge sort of bright lump out of it.
Yeah. And the Doña Urana as well.
Yeah, there's no need for that.
Yeah.
No need for it. You know, it's just.
It does seem to be done for shock value more than it's actually necessary.
And I really think you need Terence Dicks or Anthony Reid or somebody to go, no, Paul, you've gone too far.
Or even Hinchcliffe.
And pull it back.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, Eric Saywood doesn't do that because he's a huge fan of Robert Holmes, which I can understand. And he either doesn't feel like he can, or he's encouraging him to do it. And I think it goes too far.
Okay.
It spoils the story.
To be honest, I think Bob is a bit peed off at this point.
Yeah.
About A, having a shopping list and being pulled from pillar to post as to where it's actually set.
Yeah.
So in some ways, his heart isn't in it in the way it was with Androzani. You can tell the difference. Androzani, Bob is just told, get rid of the doctor, we don't care how you do it. In this one, it's a great big long list of things, and halfway through planning, the location utterly changes as well. So, I mean, I think Eric Saywood has said that they were not, their heart wasn't necessarily in the story.
But I do like
it does show a bit.
I do like the relationship between the Sixth Doctor and Jamie.
Yeah.
It's Jamie just slots in. It doesn't
matter.
That's
the Doctor. Yeah.
It doesn't matter what face he's got. It's the Doctor.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, he's a better companion to Colin than Perry is sometimes. As much as I like Perry, and I really do.
Yeah.
But he's more loyal and more, there for him than Perry is sometimes.
Interesting. All right. Okay.
Excuse me.
We'll pass that. And finally, Timelash. Timelash. Apparently that's an anagram, and the first word is lame, lame. And I'll lead you to work out what the rest of the word is, but it's an anagram of the word hits.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
But that's unfair.
Yes.
I'm not too down on Timelash.
No, it's in some ways, excuse me, in many ways, it's a proper traditional Doctor Who story. There's not that much violence in it. It's been toned down a bit. Excuse me. You've got Paul Darrow being as much like Avon as he could possibly be.
Paul Darrow's having fun.
He's having so much fun, and this is the reined-in performance.
Yeah.
This is the performance.
Paul, can you not do it as Richard III?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the performance that he gives after. Yeah, he's given that note.
Because didn't he say he wanted a hump or something?
Yes, he wanted a hump. He wanted a yes. Yeah.
The design is a problem, but in some ways the design is actually written in the script because it's this thing about the Borad doesn't want reflective surfaces.
No.
So you end up with a load of matte, sort of flat sets, don't you? Which is a shame. And the Timelash itself inside is like there's tinsel and stuff.
And yeah.
But on the other hand, I like the H.G. Wells stuff. I think actually the best bit of the story for me is the scenes in part 1 when the Doctor's at H.G. Wells'
when he's trying to
house or wherever he is, or lodge or whatever.
Him.
Yeah. I could have done with a lot more stuff in that scene, that sort of time period. I appreciate the whole, this is H.G. Wells seeing science fiction or science fact, and that's a nice idea. But because I liked seeing the Doctor in history in the Mark of the Rani, I wanted more of that in this, because in some ways, again, you could have almost split it a bit in the same way that you've got sort of Stevenson only in part 2 of Mark of the Rani.
Yeah.
Maybe you could have only had a little bit of Carfill in part 1 and gone to Carfill in part 2 or something like that. I don't know, but I could certainly see a lot more H.G. Wells Victorian stuff. I mean, the Borad, design-wise, is really good.
It is.
Yeah, and performance-wise.
Yes.
What he's up to is extremely weird and questionable. The whole thing about fancying Perry. And,
this is a season of that, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
That in various ways, Perry has been lusted after for her looks, for the fact she's a human, and Shocker wants to eat her.
Yeah.
It's just a whole season.
In some ways, it's just refreshing. He wants to eat her.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a whole season of villains and monsters.
Yeah.
Pervin Perry.
Yeah.
And it is nice when she and Colin Baker, when the Doctor and Perry come back in Trial of a Time Lord, that there's a much better relationship, and that stops.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because there's a prime in. We'll talk about this tomorrow, but obviously you've got Sabalon Glitz, who you would think would probably try on, but he doesn't.
All right. Okay.
You know,
Interesting.
so it's nice. But anyway, we'll talk about that tomorrow.
What about there's some good old 80s makeup on.
Oh god,
in this
there's a lot
story.
of slap.
A lot of slap on.
A lot of slapping hair.
Slapping hair.
And possibly the worst piece of plot dropping I've ever heard.
Oh, which one? There's quite a few.
Well, the thing about
Not only are we under attack from our former enemies, the Vandrills,
which is a sock puppet.
Well, I don't mind that. It's
Yeah, but it's a shit sock puppet.
Ooh, Lisa.
It's a rubbish sock puppet.
Lisa, rude words. Excuse me. And there's lines like, what, all 500 of us?
Yes.
And there is a bit of crowbar plot dialogue in there.
But the thing about the Third Doctor's portrait is nice.
Yeah.
When they smash that and you get the Third Doctor's portrait.
Yeah.
You find out he's been here before.
Yeah, so Joe and
the Third Doctor.
And?
And...
Because there's the line, just the two of you.
Yeah. All right.
Implying that there's a third person on the Third Doctor's visit. Mike Yates, Benton?
Not the Brig.
Not the Brig? I don't know. Don't know, could be.
Could be anybody, couldn't it? Corporal Bell.
Liz Shaw.
Oh, yeah, Liz Shaw would be cool. Yeah,
Could have picked up Liz Shaw or something, just for an extra adventure. Don't know. Yeah.
You could make your own adventure there, couldn't you?
What about the Borad clone, though? Does that feel like it's just to extend the story
does,
by about 10 minutes?
Yeah, it just feels like, oh, we've killed the monster off, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Oh, let's make it a clone.
But then you've got that whole TARDIS scene to do that as well. Because wasn't it, I think Pennant Roberts said that because the cliffhanger is the Timelash, what the way the two scripts went, they tried to push as much they could into part two, which was severely underrunning, but still had to record that extra scene anyway. So I don't know what the original script sort of how they balanced out, but I get the feeling one was about 55 minutes long and the other one was about sort of 35 minutes long or something.
Gosh.
So I don't know it's quite that bad, but it's the thing, unfortunately, because you've only got the one cliffhanger. I mean, it's a bit like, was it Planet of the Spiders 5? That Planet of the Spiders 5 and then Planet of the Spiders 6, they've shoved a load of scenes in a different order into it just because of the way the cliffhanger falls. Because one's overrunning and one's underrunning, and they do their best to sort of copy and paste. But even so, and I think Timelash has a bit of that. But yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. It's
think of it as a panto.
Yeah, in some ways it's refreshing just to not have some old monsters.
Yeah.
And because you've had the Cybermen, you've had the Sontarans, and you know that the Daleks
are coming up.
So yeah, just to split those up with something at least a bit original.
Yeah.
Don't mind that at all. But of course, not intended to be the final story of the season. But unfortunately, on Twitch, that's how it ends up.
Yes. Yes, because of the non-availability of any
Revelation,
but any non-Terry Nation Dalek stories.
Yes, because
all of which available on DVD.
Yes, so we'd say Revelation is certainly worth a look at, isn't it?
It's got some great direction. It's got Lexi Sale in it.
That's true. Yeah. But there you go. That's season 22, and unfortunately, we then have the hiatus, and And yeah, I felt it was unfair at the time. And yes, there are problems with season 22.
But nothing a bit of extra money and support wouldn't have solved.
But nothing. Yeah, nothing that can't be solved.
No.
I think
A new script editor.
I think.
Or a new producer.
I think. Well, unfortunately, Nathan Turner certainly seems to have. It's like the golden handcuffs now, isn't it? That if you leave, that's it for the show.
Yeah.
But I think Eric probably admits he shouldn't have stayed on for season 23. Who would you have nominated
For script editor?
at this point?
I'm not sure.
Philip Martin seems to be the obvious choice.
Yeah. That would be an interesting way to go.
Yeah, I don't know whether he'd done much editing at that point, but of the writers, on board, you're not. Yeah, Bob Holmes doesn't want to do script editing again. Quite right too. But Philip Martin might be interesting. Or you get somebody completely new in. Or,
yes.
I mean, there are people like sort of Chris Boucher and things like that still around at this point. Mostly working on things like sort of Bergerac and things like that.
I'm sure Chris Boucher would have been an interesting choice.
Yeah, but of course he's got no connection with the present team at this point. So,
he's not
of those who are available, I think Philip Martin would have been interesting. But I don't think he'd have, made it much lighter, to be honest.
No.
But he might have made it more experimental, which might be interesting. So I can see that being an interesting way to go.
Weren't they ordered to make it lighter when it came back for trial?
Yes.
Less violence, more.
Yeah,
more
that's the edict,
fun.
isn't it? Yes. More humour.
Mostly which they managed to adhere to.
There we go. So we'll be back with the Trial of a Time Lord soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.